Hi there, I'm Sean Michael Beyer. I'm with Chris Gordon on Hellblazer Biz.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to listeners and viewers wherever you may be in the world right now. You are tuned into Hellblazer Biz with your one and only Chris Gordon. Yay! If you're tuning in for the first time, thank you for joining me. Woohoo! Thank you, I appreciate it. And if you tune in for this multiple times that you come back, then whoo! Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate it too. Well, today's guest is fantastic. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Following on from my excellent interview with Adam Carboni a couple of weeks ago, this is now the filmmaker, the director, the creator of Randy's Canvas. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Sean Michael Beyer. Everyone, I have the honour and the proud privilege of chatting with Sean Michael Beyer, the director and creator, filmmaker of Randy's Canvas, which is out now, I believe.
Yes, it is.
Excellent. The nicest, which is a love story. I would have already explained, but it's a love story. It's a life story, not just a love story. It's a life story of a guy who's got autism, an artist with autism, who just going through life as normal as he can, and obviously it's like is it kind of coming of age type in a certain sense?
Yeah, it's when we first started, developing this and trying to get it funded, people immediately thought it was a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And they also thought it was probably a downer. And so there was some good luck kind of a thing. And it's like, no, this is an inspirational love story. This kid, is trying to make his way in the world. He's an artist. And he falls in love and does not know how to deal with it. I mean, it's tough enough for, as they say, a neurotypical, someone who doesn't have autism, to deal with that. I mean, we've all felt those feelings, and you don't know how to express yourself, and you say the wrong thing. And think about, this is the same thing with Randy. But it's a life story. I like the way you put that. But it's a romance. It's a romantic story. It's feel good. It's inspirational. There's hope. And it's just that kind of film that you walk away with a warmth in your heart afterwards. At least I hope you do.
No, exactly. I mean, as I say, I've already spoken to Adam about it, and the insight I got from him and his character, and you've won both of you have won awards for this now as well, which is fantastic.
Yes.
So, the film obviously gets the message across and puts it in because again, what I mentioned with Adam is it's risk of repeating myself. It's because it's a non-profit film, and so basically, you've been working very closely with the autism group in Rhode Island, and the proceeds are going to that organisation too. Right,
and we've had the endorsement of Autism Speaks, which was an enormous autism charity. They sponsored a premiere we did in Los Angeles in September, and some of the board members were reluctant to watch the movie, thinking that it was going to be bad, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And they were very pleasantly surprised. So that was wonderful.
That is fantastic. Like you say, to get backing from an organisation as well, it's just... Yeah. And the whole concept of the film as well, it's, again, speaking with Adam, is the difference between what Hollywood has sometimes maybe portrayed of people with autism in the past. I mean, the big one that comes to mind is Rain Man, which I absolutely loved, but he was obviously at the very far end of the spectrum, the savant end.
Right.
And which, I mean, I grew up with two people in my dad's church. They were brothers. One was a savant and one was autistic. Slightly more than, I'd say, Randy is with how he behaves and stuff. But it was, so I kind of grew up understanding to a certain extent, because obviously, I was only like a kid at the time. So when you're faced with people and Howard the savant, he was exactly like Dustin Hoffman, for example. He was a mathematical genius. He was a really nice guy when you could catch him, because he was just. That's the people. The stigma about autism, and it's like this, that, and the other. It's not. People, they're normal people. They just look at the world differently, and that's how it is. You know, the fact that you might see someone, and like the way Randy reacts with the love, he just can't figure it out. He can't. He's just having a real hard time with it. We all have a hard time with love. I did when I was a kid, but because of his slightly different look at how he sees the world, I can see how that could. How it can come across.
And a lot of people perceive autism as one thing. It's savant, like Dustin Hoffman's role. That's an extreme, side of the spectrum. But there are very, very subtle. A filmmaker friend of mine who watched an early edit of Randy's Canvas because we do feedback screenings, and I've known this guy for a long time. He's a little quirky, but didn't think much of it. And when we finished the film, he admitted that he had been diagnosed with autism as a kid.
Right.
And then I thought to myself, well, that makes a lot of sense for some of the things that your behavior and whatnot. But he goes, you did such a great job with this and the sensitivity to the subject matter. He goes, I've kind of felt compelled to come out, if you will, as having autism. But when Adam interviewed a lot of the kids, as did I, on the spectrum, and they said it's nuance. It's subtlety. It's not just one. You can't put it in a perfect little box and say that's autism.
Yeah. And
we wanted to make sure that we did that. We portrayed Randy as one type of kid with autism. That's him. That's not all aspects of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, because it is a huge spectrum. I mean, my nephew's got one aspect of it as well, and again, I think he's probably more. It's just some things that he'll come out with, and for us, it's like if we said something, it's raining cats and dogs or something like that, and he'll be like, no, that's not happened. That's not possible. It can't. And because in his mind, that's
right.
Yeah, and it's and things, and even sometimes like OCD and things like that, because if something just gets put out of sync, and it is, so something like Randy's Canvas is I think is a great way to actually push that out and let people know more about people with autism, because, like you say, because I think to get rid of the stigma, should I say, because they let people understand that like you just explained perfectly through without me waffling on, the different spectrums of people of autism and how people.
Well, right. Well, and we also wanted to show that there's hope. Just because you're diagnosed with autism doesn't mean you're going to have to live with your parents all of your life, or you're going to be in a home such as Dustin Hoffman's character.
Yeah,
you can thrive. You can have a life. Some of them can't. Some kids know that they will unfortunately be in a situation where they have to live with their parents or a caregiver or something like that, and that's unfortunate, but it exists. However, there's a lot of these kids, they can learn social skills and they can learn, behaviors and what's appropriate and what's not. I mean, most of these kids are very intelligent, and so we wanted to show that there is hope, that you can fall in love, you can have a life, you can prosper in your career of choice. It's not a sentence to nothing, to not ever being able to achieve anything in your life.
Yeah, exactly. Great. I mean,
and to be happy and to be able to be happy.
Yeah, definitely. That's an important thing as well, because you don't want people pushed into a box at an early age, like you just said, and think that that's their life, going to be their life. That's how it's going to be. No, it's not. You can, it doesn't matter if you're autistic or not. You just go out there and do whatever you want to do, and you can achieve it. Right. Obviously, there are sadly some cases, like you say, where that might not be possible, but there's still a lot that they can achieve, even with their carers and stuff.
Right.
They can still go out and achieve it. It might, and so it's.
And when we made the film in Rhode Island, we included a lot of these kids on the spectrum as production assistants, as extras, in background, and a few of them, had little minor roles in the film, which was great. And they tease me because I've told this story 1,000 times, but you've never heard it. So there was this boy CJ that was our on-set consultant. He had a small role in the film too, but he was there. This kid was about 18 at the time, and he although being on the spectrum, he was also a scholar of autism. He knew inside and out.
Yeah.
So about halfway through our shoot, he'd been there every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, I had a simple little scene to shoot with no dialogue. And I said, hey, CJ, do you want to direct the scene? He's like, oh, no, I'm not qualified. I'm like, oh, come on now. I said, if I say you're qualified, you're qualified. He's like, okay, I don't know. But so we rolled camera. I didn't even say anything to the crew.
Mm-hmm.
We rolled camera, and he very confidently calls, and action. Then the scene plays out, and then he calls, and he looks to me. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, and cut. And the crew, breaks into applause for him, and he was, very proud. And a few days later, we heard from his parents, and they said his self-esteem was through the roof, and that he hadn't smiled like that in over a year.
Oh, wow.
And that meant so much to me that, it moved him like that. And, he was a very simple kid. He didn't smile very much on set. Nice kid.
Yeah.
And just making this movie meant everything to him. And out of the 18 days we shot, he was there 16 out of the 18.
Wow.
So he was there every day, fully supportive, and would say to us, "That's not right. That's not believable." I'm like, "Really? Okay, talk to me." So it was great. It was really great.
No, that is fantastic to get a reaction like that. It's just, I can only imagine as a filmmaker, just putting that kind of film across is just amazing. Like, he'll remember that now for the rest of his life that he's done that, and you never know, it might push him and steer him into. You've empowered him enough now that maybe he thinks, well, you can go away and think, I can do that, and push himself into some, to more. And do more.
It's amazing when you empower somebody, that may have not felt worthy. What a difference that makes in their life, and to do that, and I think we hope with this film this will empower not only the kids with autism but their families. Like, you can do it, you can make it.
Yeah.
And at least I hope so. I mean, it's entertainment, yes, but if it does some good too, that's not a bad thing.
No, exactly, and empowering people does wonders. I mean, I'm on a completely different scale. I've done this for 3 years now, just chatting on Skype and things. But last year, I was in London last year, and I met some lovely people, filmmakers, and they kept telling me I was really good, blah blah blah, and they pushed me to premieres. And the next thing, they pushing me and saying, you can go out and host the Q&A at the premiere. And I was like, what? I was like, I'm really quite shy when it comes to that. So I was like, I used to do acting on the stage and love theatre work, and I actually loved it. I've just not done it for 20 odd years. And I did it a couple of times, and I thought I'd fluffed it up. And I did one about a month ago with about 300 people in the audience, filmmakers, actors, all people of the entertainment industry. And I got applauded. It's just because the director and the co-producer
empowered
of the film,
you.
yeah, because they were lovely people as well, and they empowered me, and they were like, you've got this before. And I went out there, and now I think that this it's a direction I've wanted to do in a long, long time, and now after God knows how many years, I feel like I can actually do that because someone empowered me to go out there and just reach out and go beyond my comfort zone and do something.
Well, and it's nice in those sort of situations. It's an organic interaction with the people, with the audience, and we as filmmakers appreciate an intelligent host, an intelligent interviewer that is asking, important questions, powerful questions, inspiring questions, whatever it is. We respect that, and it's not easy to do, but it comes naturally to some people. Obviously, it comes naturally to you. So I encourage you to do more.
Thank you. No, I wasn't looking for praise or anything, but no, thank you. But yeah, no, you're right, because it is a symbiotic relationship in that sort of respect. And I say after that event, I spent 4 hours in the bar drinking with a lot of them. Not too much, because it was about equivalent to $8 for a pint. So that's
about average for LA. So
really, yes, same for London as well. Sadly, not for where I live in North Wales, but it was just a nice, all the people coming up in England, and it's. I think that especially the independent community film over in the States as well as in the UK, it's such a very close. I'd say close knit as well, but it's a much more familial feel to it. Everyone wants to help each other out. I mean, I know you and Adam have worked so much together in the past as well. We talked about this last night, and I'm gonna broach that subject a bit later because I want to hear more about one thing. Because it had me laughing. But so it's very symbiotic. And when you come out and you make a film like Randy's Canvas as well, and pushing that out across multiple platforms like you have, and I mean, this is for me. I'm really honoured that I just get to speak to people like you, because I'm sure you're probably tired of all the interviews that you get you go through to.
No,
to
no. I mean, it's no, not at all. I mean, it's a necessary thing that you have to do, but I enjoy it. Who doesn't like talking about themselves, right?
Yeah, true.
but it's something that's very important to do, and to support your. This took me 11 years to get made.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And so I'm going to support it and do
Yeah.
whatever I can to get it out there. I mean, it means, I'm proud that I finished it and that people enjoyed it. But then when it wins awards and it gets, positive reviews and positive feedback from people that I don't know that have seen it, that's fantastic. And we don't do a movie. This isn't a big paycheck. This is a labor of love, as they say. So.
Yeah.
I don't mind promoting it and talking about it. I enjoy it thoroughly. So.
And again, that's what I think a lot. That's kind of where I was kind of alluding to with films like yours as well, because it is their labours of love, and everyone involved. As like I say, it's for everybody. You want it to succeed. You put so much heart and soul, and that comes across on the screen in a lot of ways more than a blockbuster film would, because. You've got. I'm sure you're never going to knock the fact that you probably want a blockbuster in Hollywood. That'd be amazing to have. But as I say, films like these, they've got passion, they've got heart, and that translates across the screen to people like me viewing so much more in certain ways, because what's gone into it. You can see the stories, you can see the interactions, and people are every single person, right through to, like you just said, CJ was it putting in the back behind the cameras. Are putting so much effort into it and putting so much heart into it that everyone wants this thing to succeed.
We don't have millions of dollars to spend on this.
Yeah.
So we've got to tell a good story. Mm-hmm. We have to have good acting, good storytelling. That's very, very important. I mean, I come from acting. I started in the theater when I was young, and so I approach things as a director, as a filmmaker, from the acting side, the good performance, the meaningful moments. That's what's important to me. I don't care about an explosion.
Yeah.
Unless it calls for it. But fortunately, there weren't any in Randy's canvas. But to me, it's important that you come across with just compassionate storytelling. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to engage people with an independent film, and that's what I love about seeing other independent films, or those kind of stories.
Yeah.
That to me is the stuff that I enjoy. Who doesn't like a big blockbuster movie? Star Wars?
Oh yeah, you're not going to knock them. I love them to bits, but
Yeah, I know those are a lot of fun. And as much as I love them, I don't really want to do that kind of a film.
Yeah.
Maybe as an actor, that would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
But as a director, I want to do these character-driven stories. That's what excites me. So
definitely. I mean, I had a lovely actress, Cassandra French, on about a couple of weeks ago. Did a face-to-face, lovely, and I was thinking your quote was exactly what I've quoted her on her interview. Was storytelling is a great way to reach people, and that's and that's what you can do in these films, is reach people. Because I'll watch them and I know it touches my heart. It touches I'll sit there and I'll well up with tears at certain points. I'll laugh out loud along with the characters, and that's what I love about a film, is when you actually really get to feel it.
Yeah, it's hard working in the industry to let yourself go into that world.
Yeah.
Because I think about how they made the scene. Oh, I can see they did this shot and they did that. Mm-hmm. And I really try to force myself to just sit back as an audience member to just enjoy what was put up there. Enjoy those filmmakers' efforts and those actors' efforts. Mm-hmm. For me. And so it's hard, but I try to really just relax, Usually having a cocktail before the movie does help.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's, okay, just relax and enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. I've got to say, doing this show that I've done as well, it's kind of ruined to a certain extent sometimes when I've watched a film, because I'll sit and watch a film or a TV show when they've come on, and I'll be sitting there and my wife will just sit there and just shake her head, because I'll just be sitting there and I'll be like, that's how they've done that. When they were doing that, they were thinking of it.
It's like, shut up and just watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I get the same way, because I'm starting to think of that. I mean, I'm looking into writing some stuff as well, and purely because of the inspiration of talking to people like yourself. And it's like I watch a film, and most of the time I do relax, like you say. It's just quick some beverage before and just sit back and watch a film and relax. But there are
Right.
times certain films, especially ones where I've spoken to people and I pinpoint exactly. I know how much fun they had making that scene, or behind, and it kind of just ruins it
Right.
for my wife.
Sure. Sure. No, for sure.
So, what kind of drew you to write Randy's Canvas?
Well, an actor friend of mine we had just finished shooting my very first film in 2005, and we were editing and post production, and he said, "What about?" And he just kind of threw this random. He goes, "What about a story of a kid with autism that moves to a big city?" And that's really all that he said. He said it should be a comedy. I didn't know if it could quite be a comedy necessarily, but I said okay. And having dabbled in the arts myself, I do abstract painting. In fact, some of my paintings were in the movie.
Okay.
They were the ones that the gallery owner thought were terrible, which we did on purpose. But anyway, so having done that, I thought, well, Randy is an artist. I can see someone with autism doing something like that. It's a very creative, very cerebral skill. And so that's where I was inspired. And I originally wrote it to take place in San Francisco.
Okay.
In Northern California, and it kind of just that's where it lived, if you will. And then and it got kind of put on the back burner for a while. And then one Christmas, I was visiting family in Northern California, and we were driving across the Golden Gate Bridge, and I thought, I've got to make Randy's Canvas happen. And then I thought, oh my God, Adam, he's Randy, Yeah. And so I called him. And I said, "Do you want to read the script?" And I don't know if I had told him about it or not. I don't remember. But he said, "Sure." And he read it. And he's like, "Oh, wow." He goes, "That is so me." And so we started talking. And that eventually we thought, how about Rhode Island? It's film friendly. It's a beautiful setting. The lighthouses and just the architecture. And, I certainly don't want to shoot it in L.A. Everything looks like L.A.
Yeah.
So that's where that's how that evolved. I mean, that was an 11-year process to get it from when I first wrote it. Brought in some additional writers, collaborated with me on it, and that's how we ended up shooting it in Rhode Island in 2016.
Well, that's fantastic, and it's especially after 11 years to see it come to fruition and come out. Definitely. And I think you chose the right person in Adam as well, which I touched on before. You guys know each other really well. That's what I got from Adam yesterday, was how far back. I mean, I know you've worked on quite a few things together.
Yeah.
One thing you mentioned was the dude food with Sean, and sometimes Adam, your YouTube.
Yes.
Because you're a chef. You are a really good chef, he says.
I wouldn't call myself a chef.
Well, a cook.
A good cook. Yes. I can make the food look pretty. No, that's a funny story. Is I had submitted recipes. I do lots of cooking and photograph them, and I submitted a recipe to the Today Show, NBC's national morning talk show, and they booked me, and they flew me to New York, and I did a cooking segment with Bobby Flay from the Food Network.
All right.
I'm sure he's pretty internationally known. And then friends said, you should do your own cooking show. So I did, and it got picked up by a distributor here in the U.S. And then I pitched him my idea for Dude Food, and they said, you need to have that weird guy from Rhode Island as your co-host. I'm like, oh, because he'd been on my other cooking show.
Yeah.
And, and he's quirky, he's a vegetarian, and he can't cook. So I'm like, that's a great idea. So we end up brainstorming and came up with Dude Food with Sean and sometimes Adam. Sometimes Adam gets it right. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he hosts by himself. Sometimes he doesn't. So it's just a play on that. But we had a lot of fun. We shot 26 some odd episodes, I think, of that.
Impressive.
So he tested my patience on camera a few times.
He did, yeah. I think that's what he mentioned yesterday. He was saying, he was like on camera and just said, "Oh, it's got hair in it." And he said, "Yeah." He was telling me that he goes, obviously, because he was just like, "We're on camera, you can't say that, so you have to reshoot it." And he goes, "Oh, look, it's not got any hair in it this time."
Oh, and that was like a 14-hour day. I'm just like, really? You can't. I go, I had a few colorful superlatives that I shouted out that we had to edit around, but Yeah, that's funny. He knows how to push my buttons. I mean, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy, but no, he knows how to push the buttons. So that's fun.
Exactly, brilliant, and it's great that you've got that kind of relationship. And obviously, so when you make something like Randy's Canvas or Dude Food and stuff, that again that can come across so well, and it means that you know the character. Because I know Adam was saying that there were people saying, well, he shouldn't be right for the role because he's a comedian and he's got a comic background, but he's not, he's an actor like himself as well. So
comedy is more difficult than any drama you'll ever do.
Oh hell yeah.
And I had a lot of resistance. I mean, across the board. A colleague of mine that's worked in the business literally said to me, and I'm not going to mention this person's name, but said to me, "You're committing career suicide to cast him."
Wow. Which
is pretty harsh to say in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think that almost inspired me more to be like, no, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They came, I'm being careful because I don't want to mention the gender either. They came to the premiere in April that we did Ottfest, where we won Best Film, Best Actor. They came to that screening and afterwards came up to me and said, you owe me and I told you so. He was amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you. I'm not going to rub their nose in it, but I was like, perhaps I did make the right choice, But it was tough. I mean, I got a lot of resistance, and I was just like, I believe in him. This is my vision. Please support me. And I did get the support, but it was an uphill battle for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But it's obviously paid out in wonders for the fact that you've got the character right. And like I say, speaking with Adam, it's like it was like you know each other, you know what you can do, and he's so proud of this role because obviously, I mean, and so he should be. It's if I've not seen all of it yet, but I've seen how he's got into it, and he absolutely does nail from the people I know who've got autism from the different sides. I guess he's nailed it. Just the quirks and the characteristics. It's absolutely spot on.
He worked really hard on it, and I don't like to overly direct as far as molding someone's. The actor needs to bring it to the screen themselves. But he and I spent, I don't know how many days. I remember we went down to Oakland State Beach or something like in Rhode Island, and we spent the entire day just going through scene after scene, and it was more discussing the scenes as opposed to rehearsing them. And I think that also really paid off too, because we I said to him, because he's always fearful of not being able to memorize dialogue. He's always had trouble with a bad memory.
Right.
And Randy has a lot of dialogue. and I said, if you memorize the scene, the words will come. I said, be sure to listen to the other characters. Listen to some inexperienced actors simply wait to speak. Yeah. They don't listen to what the other characters are saying. They just wait to speak. And I said, it's very important. Listen to what's being said. And if you're in that organic world of Randy in that scene, it'll come naturally. And I was right. And he was just like, he had one time he had a little bit of problem with dialogue, and it was very minor, no big deal. We're making a movie, things happen. But he did fantastic. He had no problems with dialogue whatsoever. And it's also because we prepared.
Yeah.
When you have a what we call a micro budget film, you can't just rush into it. You have to spend probably more time than a studio level film does in preparation, because you don't have the luxury of reshooting scenes or going back to a location again down the road. You have to be prepared, and that's something that he and I really spent a great deal of time on was preparation.
That's fantastic.
And it paid off. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I was smiling because he said the same thing, and about the same story about the fact that how you helped him, and you told him just to think about the whole scene in general and not just the lines.
Okay.
We chatted about that, so I was smart thinking that's actually really quite nice and symbiotic. That you both. That's something that you both come out with about something. One of the things that you're proud of to have put through, and he's got through and overcome something that he had an issue with by doing that and taking the advice from yourself and working with you.
Yeah, when we screened at this festival I was mentioning in April, that was sponsored by the Autism Society of America, and when we'd screened the night before, and then they had their awards show and their little gala thing afterwards. And so Adam and I are there, and we were the only ones from the cast or from the film that were there. And they gave the awards out of order. They gave Best Picture first,
Mm-hmm.
which was us, and we're like, what? There's no Randy's Canvas, really? And he and I, and the media had ignored us. We'd been on the red carpet, and they're like, yeah, who cares? Whatever.
Yeah.
Now that we won an award, they're all taking our picture now. And so we went up and accepted that award, and then they mentioned a few other awards. Adam had gone back to the bar to get a glass of wine, and then they said, and Best Actor is Adam Carbone, Randy's Canvas. I'm like, Adam, where are you? He comes running up. He's like, he was. I remember he posted on social media. He goes, I'm sweating right now, or something to that effect. And I mean, I could tell how much that meant to him.
Yeah.
And I had said to a friend too, because I'd gotten so much, back to the resistance in casting him.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I hope out of any award that this film may get, that it's acting for Adam, because I got so much resistance, and I guess that's kind of, again, wanting to rub people's nose in it in a way. It's
you're allowed to,
but I got to.
Yeah.
It's like I was so happy, I was thrilled that it won Best Film, and then another festival I got Best Director, which was amazing. But that one almost meant more to me that he got that award over anything else. So,
that is fantastic, and definitely. So say it's proof in the pudding, and it's after all the trouble that you went through to actually tell people that you've made the right choice, and basically politely tell them to do one. So, you know what you're doing.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. You know what to do. You know what you're doing. You know who you want in a role, and you know how your film's going to work, and it's proving it now. That's just one awards ceremony. How many more awards ceremonies they're going to? How many more awards? There's so many.
Hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I like your optimism.
I was actually telling Adam yesterday. There is one in the UK I know. Well, there's quite a few in the UK, but I'll pass you the details of that one because they're taking submissions for next year as well. And it's
great.
Yeah, so get your name thrown in there because they take them from all over. It's one of the top 200. Oh gosh. Oh, is it one of the top 100 ones in the UK now? But I was proud enough to have sponsored an award this year. So, again, like I said before, I got up in front of people. I had to present an award with the Hellblazer Biz Award for whatever it was. So it's a fantastic. Yep, long story short, I'll pass the details to you.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, we don't want to just limit it to the US. I mean, it's. I only think it's available on Amazon in the UK right now. I don't know if it's available anywhere else yet.
Yeah.
I think 2019 will roll out a lot more of our wider international releases. I don't know all the specifics yet, but I'm pretty sure that'll be first of next year. So
no, that'd be fantastic, and like I said, I'm hoping that this, you get the successes that you deserve for the film as it goes on and on and on, because it's you got 11 years of hard work behind this. It deserves to be seen. It does. And
no, absolutely, it's very rewarding to have it. Because coming from theater, you get that immediate response from an audience. You're up there on stage, you're performing, they respond, they applaud, they laugh, they clap, whatever it is. With a film, it's such a slow process. I mean, let's take away the 11 years, but just from the day one of shooting it to all the editing and post-production and testing and tweaking the edits and all that, it's a very long process before anybody ever sees it. So, I mean, I love the process, but you have to be very patient.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, as a UK film guy maker, I've had similar. It took him 11 years to get the film out, and there's a couple of actors I've spoken to who'd mainly do independent, and it's quite funny because they say in all the interviews you're talking about films like they filmed like 3 or 4 years ago, but they're just coming out now because, like you say, post production. When you've got the budgets that you've got and you're doing it all yourself, it takes time to make sure you get it right as how you want it to do. It does. It takes time because you'll be sitting it out. I've got a friend at the moment. She's a filmmaker doing a horror film, and she's exactly in the same boat. And now she's spent for the last few months and until the new year, spending the entire time post prod, making sure everything fits right. And that's what people don't see when the film comes out. Right. They don't understand how much work that people behind the scenes have done to get the film ready.
Well, and an independent film like this, we don't have a big team of people for post-production. Yeah. It was literally myself by myself for quite a great deal of it. But then my producer, Kevin G. Schmidt, spent a lot of time with me in the editing room, as did Adam. Yeah. And we it was just us. But I mean, it was a lot of lonely days and nights of me by myself too, to doing that. So, but I love the process, and I wore a lot of hats, on this film.
Not as many as
But
Adam. Sorry, I was going to say he told me about. Sorry, I was just threw that in because he told me about his hat fetish.
Oh yeah. I mean, we had some production problems right before we started, and Adam and I had to kind of forget about our prep for a week to rehire crew that we lost right before we're shooting. So you do what you take. You do what it takes to get it done, and we did.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, it's fantastic. And like you say, when so kind of, why did you want to do this in the first place? What made you want it? Not just a film. What made you want to get into filmmaking in the beginning? Because obviously how much hard work there is involved, but the passion is.
I started out acting in theater when I was very young. Did stuff in middle school and high school, and throughout, and I always enjoyed that. And in the late '80s, I'm dating myself here, but I moved to Los Angeles to be an actor.
Yeah. And
I got some work actually doing children's theater, of all things.
Okay.
But I also did some film and television work, different things. But I never had any sort of breakout success, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I decided that I was going to write a short film for me to star in, so that I could just sort of showcase my talents as an actor, that people could see me in something. And as I was getting ready to do it, I'm like, I can't star in this. I need to direct it.
Yeah.
And I'd had some experience on Hollywood sets, if you will, as a stand-in. Which, if anybody knows what that is, that you replace the main actor while they're doing lighting setups.
Okay. Yeah.
So you're there. You don't ever really appear on camera. You're just there to let the actor take a break while they're doing lighting setups or camera moves or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
But what's the beauty of that is that you're working with the director and the cinematographer firsthand. So I was just absorbing everything that I was learning. So that was like paid film school. I got paid to learn. Anyway, so I took that experience to doing this short film.
Yeah.
And that sort of catapulted me into, I'm like, this is my calling. I've always been a bit of an alpha male, if you will. And so that was sort of just I felt comfortable with it. And that it was a little short film, and it played a bunch of film festivals, but it led me to getting paid to do some directing, which was the most exciting experience, to being handed a check. I'm being paid to direct. This is amazing. and then from that was in 1998, and I didn't do my first feature until 2005.
Wow. Cool.
So and then I did another one a year later. And then I'd had a very long break until we did Randy's Canvas. Was my third film.
Oh, nice, fantastic! It's a great way to sort of get into it as well. I mean, I know exactly what you mean, but I don't know exactly what you mean because I haven't been in your shoes. So no, it is a great way to sort of get involved and when you do see things like you say when you're doing that stand-in and watching how things work and. I did something 2 years ago, and I was an extra, featured extra actually. I thought I was an extra, but I got 20 lines, so I was classed as a featured extra, which was fantastic in an independent.
20 lines is a featured actor. That's not even an extra.
Oh no, I was told I was an extra, and I.
So they didn't have to pay you as much, yeah.
No, they didn't pay me at all. Actually, I think I got VAs, and the role was very difficult. It's actually a friend who's a producer and up in here. It's a long story, but I was out of work at the time, and it's what I was trying to get into, and they helped me out by doing it, and I loved every minute. Because they sat there for a 13-hour day, and that's all I did was when I wasn't on screen, I was just sitting watching how they made the film because I was because it's really, as speaking to people like yourself, I was just getting really interested in just how that happens and how things work behind the scenes and how long it can take for a 30-second or one minute scene can take like 2.5 hours to actually get right with the different camera lens angles and.
Yeah. People think that it's so fast, and it's so funny. I've had friends when they found out I'm shooting somewhere, they're like, "Can I come and watch?" Sure, and they'll leave after an hour. Like, "Oh my God, this is so slow and so boring." Have a good day.
Yeah. Well, they kept coming to me and they kept asking me, "Are you all right?" Obviously, we know this is boring and stuff. Obviously, we got another part to come in later. I was like, "I'm fascinated." I was just sitting there. I was like. I'm not bored. I'm seriously not bored. I said, I'm watching it. I'm taking everything in. The lighting guy, the cinematographer, the way... Because I only had one camera, so that's why it took a lot longer. And like you said before, because it's they didn't have a big budgets, they couldn't come back to film again at that place, so everything had to get done before
Yep.
nightfall. In the one very crucial scene at the end, which apparently has got rave reviews, and I'm in it. And
Well,
it's a
you didn't screw it up then. That's good.
Exactly. I didn't have any lines in it. I'll tell you about it after when we're not on air because it'll ruin it. But so, yeah, it was, from what I've heard, it's had 20. That's the multi thing, and people have all commented that final scene was so powerful, and I was like, "That's what I'm in." I was like, "Yes."
That's great. That's
So, yeah,
great.
but I was taking everything in, even I was having to lie on the floor, but I was just watching everything going, and you could see how, like I say, how pressured they were without the budget to actually get things done, and the producer losing her hair pretty much because obviously when things weren't going right and everything like that. So it's fantastic.
There's so many different things that are on your mind. As a director, you're focusing on the scene, but you're worrying. Like we were shooting this one of the last scenes in the movie of Randy's Canvas, and we could tell it was going to rain, and we're outside on the beach. And it's this beautiful, very nice, touching scene, and we're just like, I don't want to rush the actors, but it's like it's gonna rain, and we literally wrapped out that scene, and 10 minutes later it rained.
Wow!
so somebody was looking out for us somewhere.
Yeah. I guess that's probably one of the worst things you can have, isn't it? An outside scene when it's all really sunny, and then all of a sudden, whoomp, the weather changes, and it's like continuity. It's like, then you have to wait.
Oh yeah, I mean, certain films you can just roll with it.
Yeah.
But others, I mean, this we'd established this beautiful scene, and I certainly didn't want it to rain. It just would have killed it. So when we lucked out that the rain held off just in time.
Brilliant. That's good to have. And thankfully, like I say, someone was watching out for you on that day.
Yep, exactly.
So after Randy's Canvas, I mean, it might be a bit early since it's just really coming out now, but what's next for you? Sure.
Actually, I just finished a script that I'm not ready to talk about yet because it's just finished. But prior to that, I wrote this project, and it's called Rocky and James.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine, if you will, a contemporary take on Romeo and Juliet, but with two men.
Okay.
Rocky is a 17-year-old rich kid, if you will, and he falls for James, who is a black wannabe gangbanger.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
And as you know, Romeo and Juliet doesn't end well.
Nope.
But with the success of the movie Moonlight, which won a Golden Globe and Best Picture Oscar, which was, and that's a African American LGBT film. That's a tough sell.
Yeah.
And it did wonderfully. And then Call Me by Your Name, that was out the next year, which also did well. And then now they have that Boy Erased film that just was released. I don't know if it's been released in the UK yet, but it's about this kid sent to gay aversion therapy that they try to convert you.
Yeah, I've not heard that one, so I don't think it's out here yet.
It's in limited release, so it probably will be out later in the year or next year.
Right.
But anyway, I just felt the timing in our world right now is right for this kind of a film. It's a love story between these two kids. I mean, you got a 17-year-old and a 16-year-old. When you're that age, you don't make all the right decisions. You think you're making the right decision. You fall in love in 35 seconds. But people that have read this script said it's the best script I've written.
Wow.
And so that's something I have other scripts that are out there. In fact, I wrote a comedy script with Adam, actually, that we wrote before we made Randy's Canvas. But this is one that I'm really behind this. I feel good about it. It's a tragic love story, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's you care about these kids and the journey that they go on, and they have to basically kill or be killed, to survive. And so that's something that I'm very passionate about. I'm hoping that's, if the universe wants it to be, I'm hoping that's next up.
Fantastic.
To go into production, yeah.
Oh, all right, fantastic. It sounds like a great story and a great take on that story as well. It's I can from the characters that you've pictured, I can see where those sort of issues might come through in society in general as well, and especially like you say.
Right. And worlds collide. I mean, you have this white rich kid that lives in the suburbs, and then this kid from the ghetto. They would never normally get together.
No.
So it's a worlds collide, and it's like I said, it's not. I don't follow the narrative of Shakespeare whatsoever. It's just that was my inspiration. So.
Yeah. It's just that you have the idea to move base something complete. Yeah, just
and Adam Adam is signed on as producer, and he'll play a supporting role in it. So he's not right for the lead. He's not Rocky. I don't think Adam can pull off 17.
No. Yeah, I was speaking to him last night. No, he'd have to have a shave first.
Yeah. I know, it's funny with his beard. It's sort of, I didn't expect that when I first did that. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever works.
Definitely.
That's funny.
Cool. Right, before I talk, I've got a signature question which I come to the end of anyway.
Okay.
So obviously, sadly, it is at the end. I'd say because it's been an enjoyable chat. But I don't know if Adam might have explained this to you. I had last year a guy who, if you're into Star Wars, who played Nine Num in Return of the Jedi. You know the guy through the Millennium Falcon with Lando Calrissian at the end, at the Death Star, monkeyish type face, red suit, blue waistcoat.
Vaguely, yeah.
He's also been a Muppet with Jim Henson. No, he hasn't been a Muppet. He's been a Muppeteer with Jim Henson for 30 years. And worked on Labyrinth and stuff. And someone sent a question in, and I thought, this question is so good, I will ask everybody. And
okay.
If you could have a Muppet created after... It's a totally off-the-wall one. If you could have a Muppet created after you, what Muppet would it be and why?
A Muppet created after me.
Or even one that's existing that you think...
Oh, you mean an existing Muppet or a new Muppet?
It could be a new Muppet. Adams was pretty ingenious, I've got to say.
He's more weird than I am. Gosh, I kind of relate to what's the crazy drummer that doesn't ever speak?
Animal.
And Oscar the Grouch.
Oh, right, okay.
Just the curmudgeon-y quality of him. I mean, I'm not a grouchy person, but I'm sort of yeah. I'm trying to think of another Muppet. That would be really cool to have a Muppet though. That
it would be, wouldn't it?
If it was a new Muppet, he would have to have this haircut, and the goatee, and I think he would be an eccentric chef.
Like
the Swedish chef. Yeah, that's true. That's he would be something like that. I guess. I don't have a better answer for you. I'm curious of what Adam had said.
I was going to say, actually, it's very, not ironic, what's the word? Fortuitous and coincidental that you mentioned Oscar the Grouch, because Adams was, I can't remember, what did he say? A sad old turtle with little arms and little legs who wears a cap.
That's exactly what he would say.
Yeah,
yes.
who wears a cap and who lives in a trash can, and he never comes out of the trash can, so basically the trash can has now become his shell, and he lives next door to Oscar the Grouch. So that's, and so I thought that's funny.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that's actually quite fortuitous that you said that, since you're really good friends, and like you'd end up as Muppets, you'd both end up living together or living next door to each other.
I do like that Muppet question. I didn't have a good answer. I'm sorry, but
That's
I do
right.
like that. I like the question. That's funny.
I've had some really good answers with that. I thought it's just one after. Talking about films and serious stuff, people just, some of the reactions, Clayne Crawford, who played Riggs on Lethal Weapon, he even did an impression for me. He was hilarious. It was great. So it's a good question to get people suddenly, whoa.
Right. That's...
So before I stop recording, Sean, is there anything you'd like to say to people who are watching or listening? One last thing.
Well, Randy's Canvas, you can get it. In the U.S. especially, here's my little shameless showing of the DVD, or the poster behind me. I didn't plan that.
I was going to say, I don't think I haven't noticed that.
I guess the only thing is talk about it. Mm-hmm. A small film like this, word of mouth is imperative to our success. And if you get it on Amazon or iTunes or any of these these digital platforms, please write a review. Just 5 words. I love this movie. Whatever you want to say. Hopefully you did love this movie. Don't lie now. But it's just important to talk about it because little films like this don't have the big publicity budgets that the studios either. We can make a great movie, but if nobody knows about it, what's the point? Exactly. And so I just ask, please, write a review, talk about it, whatever, social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, iTunes, Amazon, just talk about it and tell us how much you enjoyed it. That's meaningful to us too. That means that we entertained you and moved you, in such a way. So that's it.
Sean, that was absolutely fantastic. Such a laugh. Really, really appreciate your time and your energy as well. So enthusiastic and contagious. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed listening or watching to Sean Michael Beyer on Hellblazer Biz. Please go out and subscribe, retweet, and share. You can find me on Twitter at Hellblazer Biz, YouTube Hellblazer Biz, Facebook Hellblazer Biz, Buzzsprout, iTunes. Just go out there, please share the love, spread the word, and get Hellblazer Biz out there. Thank you very much. I appreciate your support as always. This has been Chris Gordon with Sean Michael Beyer of Randy's Canvas, saying see you next time.